Hey everybody, happy Motivation Monday. I want to talk to you about being healthy and being happy, but I also wanted to share a little bit of my story. I've been to the mountaintop, so to speak, in the form of sharing my passion for healthy living with others all over the world, in Australia and Paris and London, on stage in front of 60,000 people at a rock and roll concert when I was 48 years old. I mean, who'd have thought? But I also have been down to the pits, been down to the bottom, and got sick and almost died from toxic mold exposure. So that's why I'm talking to you today. And I'm so excited about my guest, Kealy Severson, because you may not know this, but some of your symptoms that you're experiencing, if no matter honestly, Kealy, no matter what, I mean, headaches, respiratory illnesses, digestive problems, skin rashes and irritations, depression, ADD, ADHD, and even cancer can be caused by toxic mold exposure. So, Kealy, welcome. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me again, Shemaine.
Well, you and I keep putting off this topic of spirituality and how mold is connected to spirituality. But I want to get into that. So save me a few minutes about that. But first, tell me a little bit about what you do as an herbalist. Tell us about Chinese medicine and how you actually treat people.
So Chinese medicine herbalism is interesting and different in comparison to other protocols that you will see used for toxic mold exposure. Dr. Shoemaker has kind of made his protocol famous, and it includes binders and different things. Chinese medicine can never have a protocol, no matter if we are treating toxic mold exposure or anything else. And the reason is Chinese medicine is always used based on symptom or pattern differentiation, meaning one illness like toxic mold exposure can present in multiple different ways. And that presentation is what needs to be treated and not removing the mold. A lot of the damage that's done by mold is also mycotoxin damage. So taking just an antifungal or a binder to bind out just mold might not be the necessary treatment. And the other different thing about Chinese medicine in comparison to Western herbalism, a lot of Western herbal providers might use turmeric for inflammation or oregano oil for an antifungal.
Like a blanket product for no matter what. Oh, you have a headache, take this.
Yes. And what we see in practice is, oil of oregano, yes, it's an antifungal, but somebody who has a lot of internal heat, maybe that it's such a hot herb, maybe that wouldn't be appropriate. And so we just try to make sure we're giving the appropriate herbal medicine, and it's more complicated than the average person would think.
So talk about internal heat. What does that mean?
So in Chinese medicine, we use terms like cold, damp, heat, fire, liver fire, heart fire, the sanjiao. The sanjiao translates as your lymphatic system. Internal heat or fire is often like a toxic bacteria or some kind of toxic, maybe even something that has a little bit of like a radiation effect. We're seeing a lot of people kind of complain about EMFs. And so, pathogens that you encounter that can either create heat inside your organs or an actual infection, it has signs of heat, like redness in the face, which you can see. I'm very sensitive to electronics, so my face actually gets physically sunburned when I'm on my electronics. Does that happen to you?
Yes.
Yes.
I literally have to, I'm in my office and I literally have to turn the temperature way down because I get hot and yeah, I never thought about that, but that makes sense. But when I got really sick, one of the things that I just dove into the rabbit hole and tried to figure out what would help me. And I did do a lot of Chinese herbs, acupuncture. I sought out every potential homeopathic and functional medicine doctor that I could. And I tried just about everything. And one of the things that people don't realize, this was a big problem for me, is insomnia. We could never sleep. And one of the things that I realized is that you have got to keep your cell phones and your electronics away from your bed, like 7 feet away from your bed. And people don't realize that that can affect you when you sleep. And it's funny because my husband and I get in a little bit of tiff about this, because his light, if somebody texts him in the middle of the night, for me, the whole room lights up. And I'm very light sensitive. I'm very sensitive to sound as well. He's not so much. And I really think that people ought to take that more seriously, because that can affect your sleep. And sleep is the number one component of aging. You know, if you don't get good sleep, do you not feel like a wreck?
Well, I can't tell you how much my face aged from years of not sleeping. I also had insomnia from living in toxic mold. And one of the causes of insomnia is neurodegeneration. And that's actually what these chemicals released by fungi do, is they cause neurodegeneration. A side effect at that point is going to be insomnia. And I have similar arguments with my husband, because I can feel like reactions to different technology. And it's just so annoying for him, because he doesn't get it. It doesn't happen to him.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. We're getting a lot of comments coming in here, and people want to know, Kealy, how do they reach you?
So if you want to schedule a telephone appointment, which is how I'm taking clients, is my website, healbetternow.com.
If somebody could write that in the comment section, I'll post it with your name, healbetter.com.
Healbetternow.com.
Healbetternow.com. So let's get into this topic that we have been not avoiding. We just get going on so many different things, and we got to circle back. And I want to circle back to you, because we talked a couple of weeks ago about how, what is the connection, the correlation between mold and spirituality?
They're definitely, look, I don't know, but it seems that like mold can really change your personality one way or the other. And it seems like people, like the Amityville horror murders, I think that they lived in mold. So it can really push you towards this like rage and this personality change. But I was kind of pushed the other way. And I don't know if when you're in a life or death situation, you just find out what you're really made of. And that was the situation. But I had some very interesting experiences living in mold that really, really increased my faith in spirituality, because I was auditory, so I was hearing things, and I was seeing things, and they were warnings about how to fix my house. They were warnings about how to deal with the toxic mold. They were showing me what was hiding. And where did that come from? How am I hearing and seeing things that nobody else has access to, that are not hallucinations? That's not the right word, because these things were factual, and I was shown them. What was your experience with mold and spirituality?
Well, you know what? I think this all. I want to read something.
Yes.
But I'll tell you. I think that this has brought me closer to God and helped me find my purpose. Now, when I was a little girl, I didn't want to grow up and go, I'm going to be the mold lady. I'm going to talk to people about mold. But I have always had a heart to help people. And it's not the direction I thought I would be going in, but you know how life shifts. And sometimes you just, you have to course correct. And I think, all of this, God has been nudging me to speak out about this. And I got to tell you, Kealy, I get so many messages from people who are hurting right now. And I feel like I can't not. So I have to speak out about this. I feel like this is becoming my purpose in life, is in helping others. And I want to let you guys know, we talk about, this being Motivation Monday. I don't want anybody who is experiencing, and I'm sure you don't either, Kealy, we don't want people to give up. Don't give up, because you never know. This could be the day that you find motivation and inspiration, that you find a doctor who can help you, that you find someone who can point you in the right direction. Tina Marone I posted something on my Instagram and Facebook, actually, me doing the splits on the beach. And I talked about 18 years ago, I could barely walk up a flight of stairs, and I had no intentions of doing the splits on the beach. But, the human body has an amazing ability to heal, and I'm living proof. And you're living proof. And what if Tina posted, what if that one doctor hadn't told me to get out of the house? I could have given up. So don't give up. And I want to read something to you guys. Okay. So this is from a book called Illness as Metaphor by Susan Sontag, I think. Okay. Illness is the night side of life, a more onerous citizenship. Everyone who is born holds dual citizenship in the kingdom of the well and in the kingdom of the sick. Although we all prefer to use only the good passport, sooner or later, each of us is obliged, at least for a spell, to identify ourselves as citizens of that other place. And that's what I mean. There's going to be a point in time where this might not appeal to you. You might not be interested in this, but anybody who's watching this, please share this, because Kealy and I and so many others just want to help people.
Absolutely, Shemaine. And I had a similar experience with realizing that this was the work that I was going to be doing. My brain had another plan. I was going to build up my acupuncture clinic, hire more acupuncturists, and I really felt like I was plucked out of that and placed on this path, which my past experience, I was lucky enough to endure it, because I can see as an insider what other people are living in, and the average person is not making the connection with their health. And because this changes our brain and our feelings and our thoughts in a way that's a little darker, just because of the actual damage of the poisons, it's so hard for people to remain hopeful. So I think it's amazing that you and I are here saying, look, we did it, we survived, we pulled ourselves out, and you can too.
You can too. Jane Hill is asking, is depression one of the symptoms? Yes, absolutely. And then, nowadays on insurance forms, if you go visit the doctor, one of the questions are you depressed? Well, I don't feel good. I can't sleep. I have headaches. I have X, Y, and Z symptoms. That's kind of depressing. So it's unfortunate, but Jane, yes. What can you recommend to people, Kealy? We've got people watching from all over the world right now, and they might not be able to get to someone nearby. How can they pull out of the funk? How can they find some source of positivity and hope?
So one thing that helped me when I was very, very sick in mold and having a lot of mental health symptoms, but I didn't yet know that I was in mold, is cold showers and breathing exercises. So those are two things, like if you can't leave your house, getting out in fresh air as much as possible. It's very hard to do when you're so fatigued and so depressed and you don't care about anything and you don't want to go outside. But it's like a magnet just keeping you in that house, making you get sicker and sicker. And these poisons are causing oxidative stress and hypoxia. Depression is one of the first symptoms that's going to be associated with those disease states. And the advanced version of that is going to be looking like dementia. Yeah. So it's hard to stay uplifted, but there are things you can do. There are certain herbs that you can take that can relieve some of the stress of the trauma of the experience, that can help your liver function a little better, to help clean your blood, to help get you functioning. But those are all on a case-by-case basis, depending on the patient presentation or person presentation. And there's just a lot of variation there.
Do you know, Tanya's asking, what is the name of the blood test to see what mold is in your blood? For me, I'll tell you, and then you jump in, Kealy. I had to go to a toxicologist, and this was back in around 2002, 2003, because, think about nobody was talking about mold back then. I went to dozens and dozens and dozens of doctors who thought I was crazy and didn't know how to treat it. Nowadays, unfortunately, fortunately, things have gotten better and mold is more talked about. But back then, a lot of doctors didn't know how to treat it. So what would you recommend?
The one thing that I want to say is I would just like to clarify the understanding that being sick from mold does not always mean a fungal infection. So it doesn't always mean fungus in your blood. The American Medical Association hasn't defined any mold-related syndromes, and part of the reason they haven't is because there's no validated testing that can tell you the full scope. Going to a toxicologist is probably the most meaningful way to get an answer. I don't know if that's a referral that's available for everyone. There are quite a few tests that show mycotoxins in your urine, or if you're allergic to mold. And these things only give so much information, and that's probably a topic for another day. But the point that I want to drive home here is you should know that if you have water damage that wasn't restored, and by restored, I mean stopping the water intrusion and then structurally repairing it and removing any water damage materials, even if you don't see growth on the outside, because it's not usually in a visible location, you should assume that will affect your health. And just make that, my wish is for this to just be such common knowledge that you would know.
We're getting there. We're getting there, girl. We're on the precipice of doing great things and exposing this information. Please, 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 if you're watching this now, please share this. Amanda is saying, I'm out of mold and still having hypoxia issues. What to do?
That's a really good question. I would be interested in what her area is. If she's in Los Angeles, she's probably not going to be able to get somewhere that has a lot of fresh air versus if she's in a smaller town. So that's a loaded question. What are her humidity levels?
That's
she
true.
could be drowning in her own house if her humidity is high.
And then there was somebody else who said they basically pitched a tent in their backyard and are staying out there, but you don't know, if you're surrounded by a damp, wet environment, there's a lot more mold outside. The goal is when you do a mold test, you should have less mold in your home than outside. But for me, I would say if you're in an immediate situation where you need to find relief, and I've been getting the most heartfelt and sad messages from people that are in dire straits and they need help. And I've said this before, but I'm gonna go one step further. Number one, get out of the house, get out of where you're at. Number two, try to find a doctor, an herbalist, somebody who can help you. And Kealy, going to your website, say that again.
Feelbetternow.com.
And you can book an appointment with Kealy, and maybe that is the one thing that you could do today to help your situation. I just got a message from somebody else yesterday saying, okay, I did that. I did 1 and 2. I got out of the house. I went to another place. If the doctor made me sicker, that they went to a doctor treating them for mold, which can be the toxins are coming out, right?
That can be it, but it also can be that it might not be the best treatment for that person. And that's why Chinese medicine doesn't have just a general mold protocol.
Yeah, both are true, generic and general. Jackie says, our landlord just puts a Band-Aid on leaks and they keep leaking, about ready to prep for a lawsuit, which is a whole nother thing. And guys, it's why I'm writing my book. I want to have a one-stop shop for everybody to find information and to find answers. And it's not as easy, like you said, like just removing the mold, the water damage. It's about healing. It's about taking legal action. And somebody else also commented here, what do you do if you don't have insurance? If you don't have health insurance? what can you do?
Well, all of my treatment and everything was out of pocket, and herbal medicine is always out of pocket anyway. So if you go the herbal route or functional medicine or naturopathic doctor, insurance doesn't cover any of those. So
And I want to change that, Kealy. If you're watching this and you can help me change it, help us change it. I would love it for us to be able to go to the doctor and for the doctor to say, you need 30 minutes of sunlight 3 times a week or every day. Go outside, even in the winter, go outside, rest, relax, meditate, pray, eat right, drink lots of water, exercise every day, move your body every day.
Absolutely. Those are a few things that would get you moving in a better direction. I want to say,
go ahead.
That comment from Jackie Jacks. She said her landlord isn't fixing the leaks and she's ready to start a lawsuit. Jackie, I would just say communicate the need for all repairs in writing. Communicate how you want the repairs done in writing. Don't do any phone conversations. Communicate everything in writing. And if you need support on advice on moving through that, you could contact me.
Well, I'm going to contact you too. I want to bring this up. Angie says, I'm in a camper trailer for the 2nd year now. Also thought about a clean tent in the mold home if you cannot leave, like a Bubble Boy tent. No, with a HEPA filter, pumping fresh air in. No, because every time you go in and out, people don't realize, and I don't mean to make this sound, it took me a long time to realize this. I feel like I was a slow learner, but one mold spore is 1/100th the size of human hair, and its natural defense mechanism is to propagate 1,000,000 times. One spore. And it's like a dead dandelion. When the dandelion's dead, you see the images of, whoever, the little girl or boy blowing and the spores go everywhere from the dandelion. That's exactly what happens. You cannot see it. So you may continually be reacting to the mold spores and you might not know it. And the problem with this, well, there's a lot of problems, but it's not like you break your arm and you can see in the x-ray, oh yes, I broke my arm. I need to get that fixed. Oh, I lost you. Are you still there?
I'm here. Can you see me?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can hear you. I thought I saw you talking. So, Kealy, any last words of wisdom that you can share with people?
You cannot out-medicate toxic air. You cannot stay in a sick house and heal. You should always assume if you live in mold damage or have had a flooding basement or a leak of any sort and that wasn't removed and gutted and fixed, and you have nerve damage, nerve problems, neurological issues, mental health, depression, you should start to make the connections between that and your health.
Yeah. And Rose is asking how to find a reputable company to test for mold. That's what we're working on too. There's no current regulation or across the board approach that you have. There's a couple things important. We should just do a whole nother show about that.
I actually just started a TikTok series about the pros and cons of each mold test. So if that woman is on TikTok and she wants to go check out at Heal Better Now, I'm doing a whole series, and I would love to do that with you too if you want to go into the testing limitations, because people just want this fast, easy answer of which test, and it's not that simple. Yeah,
it is not. All right, guys. Thank you so much for being here. Please, if everybody shared this with 5 or 10 people, we could get this message out and we could help more people. And that's really what our goal is, to bring some relief, bring some hope for those people who are hurting right now. I know what that's like. When you lose your health, it's true. You got nothing. You could have all the money in the world, but you can't get off the couch or get out of bed or enjoy it. So please take care of your body. Please take care of your health, and go to Kealy's website, which is
healbetternow.com.
healbetternow.com. I'm going to go there right now, and I'm going to ask you some questions online. So thank you so much for being here, Kealy.
Thanks for having me, Shemaine. I'll talk to you later.
Okay, sounds good. Bye, everybody. Have a great day.